Are we about to see an Australian property boom, or is there about to be a property market crash? In today's video, I'm going to run through what is causing the property boom at the moment and why. We're going to run through some factors that might see the bubble burst and lead to a decline in property prices. And finally, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Australian property market, where we are now and where I expect the property market to go over the next few years. So let's begin. The property market is currently booming, and CoreLogic has recorded increases in property prices Australia-wide across all major capital cities and in regional areas. The Australian market at the moment is lifting as a whole, and it's not just one individual market that has gone up in value over the last few months. Now, let's begin with the basics, and this comes down to supply and demand. Currently, demand is significantly outweighing supply, which means that there are not enough properties on the market to the number of buyers that want to buy homes at the moment. You might have seen this in your local market where you are at the moment. You might have seen multiple offers on homes, or 10 to 20 to 30 or even more people attending open homes looking to make a property purchase at this point in time. Emily and I have even noticed this in our local market where we are in Brisbane. As we've been taking Georgie boy for a walk in the mornings, we've noticed that there's not many signs out there for houses going for sale, and there's a significant undersupply in our area. We've seen prices increase, and there's only been a handful of properties available for sale in our local area. So the lack of supply and significant demand has seen the property market boom over the last few months, and this is likely to continue into the near future. You may have heard the term FOMO thrown around here on YouTube, the fear of missing out, and that is currently helping drive the prices up. As prices increase, people are worried that they're not going to be able to save their money at the same rate prices in the property market increase, and therefore making it less affordable to get into property. They might not be able to buy in the ideal area and will have to look further out from CBD locations or where they want to live to make it affordable to buy a house for themselves. So what's causing the Australian property market to boom at the moment? First of all, it's the record low interest rates that we've seen here in Australia. Across all major banks, you can get fixed interest rates below 2%. This makes it affordable for people to hold homes that they previously weren't able to hold the debt on. People can now hold $1 million home with only a 2% interest rate, whereas previously with higher interest rates, people weren't able to afford the repayments on those homes. Therefore, the lower interest rates have increased people's serviceability and allowed them to buy homes for a higher price. This has in turn driven prices up in the property market. Next is the optimism. It's you and me and everyone that you see being interested in property at the moment as prices are going up, and typically people's sentiment is that as prices increase, they get love struck and they only see prices increasing in the near future. Now, we know that property goes in cycles, but the optimism at the moment is driving up prices, with people expecting the prices to increase over the coming months. And lastly, it is that lack of supply on market. With few homes being listed at the moment and the difficulty of even selling your home to try and get back into the market at the same time with the lack of the supply, is leading to not many homes being put on the market for sale at the moment, and hence prices are being driven up for the stock that is available for purchase. So when will the boom end, and what is going to cause the property market to crash? Some factors that could lead to property prices falling would be an interest rate hike by the Reserve Bank, which is passed on by all major banks across Australia. If interest rates were to increase, this would reduce people's ability to service debt and therefore reduce the amount they were able to pay for property. This will decrease the ability for people to pay higher prices and will reduce the demand for property over time. So the second big reason that the bubble could burst and property prices could fall is both government intervention and changes in lending policies. If the banks were to have a cap on the loan to value ratio that investors were allowed, like they've done in New Zealand, this would decrease the amount people are able to borrow and therefore purchase in property price. This would decrease demand and cause prices to fall. Finally, government incentives could affect property prices. If the government was to withdraw incentives or reduce the value of incentives, less people would be likely to make new property purchases or go through with property purchases for their first home if the incentives weren't there, or they weren't there to the same amount. Now, what do I think of the boom that we're experiencing at the moment? And do I see a likely crash on the horizon? My opinion is that the market will continue to boom this year and into the next year. So we're going to have a strong period of growth through 2021 and 2022. I don't see changes in lending policy or government regulations, or interest rates for that matter, coming for some time yet. As the economists at the bank are smarter than you and I, they typically don't offer low fixed rates unless they see a low interest rate environment staying for a period of time. As the banks have been offering fixed interest rates for up to 4 years at around that 2% mark, I don't see a significant rise in interest rates or significant changes in lending policies over the next 2 to 3 years. The main thing is to not get caught up in the hype of a boom or a bust situation, and it's to buy property when you can afford and when the numbers make sense for you. Do you have fear of missing out, or are you worried about a property market crash? If you could leave a like on this video, it would help the channel grow. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel as well. It really helps me out. Alright, that's all for this video. Thanks. See you in the next one. Peace.